Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your way too motivated hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC, and this is the show where we review all the anime series from the previous season we did and didn't watch start to finish. Today we got some crazy, trigger-happy alien space cop action for you and a glorious monster of a series finale. But first, let's check out all the new stuff from summer season 2016 in our sneak peek. So, as last time in the sneak peek, we're gonna take a look at all the new shows and give a few sentences here and there, what we thought about them. And there are quite a lot of shows this time we're gonna talk about, I think. So, yeah, this is gonna be a long one, people, so settle in, get cozy. You ready, John?
I'm ready, but I do think we're gonna have some crossover, so...
Yeah, probably. Alright, let's get peeking. I bet nobody has ever used that in a positive connotation. So, what's your first pick for the sneak peek?
My first one, and I'm gonna just throw out there that my first one is a drop, because I wasn't too enthralled with it after the first episode. It's a show called New Game.
Ah, alright. Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's about this girl, Aoba Suzukaze, I believe. She's fresh out of high school. She's starting her new job as an animator at a game design company, except she gets to her job and she doesn't know how to do it.
I wasn't up to that point. It sounded a lot like Shirobako, and then I was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh my god! Jeff Thu, Mother's Basement, was saying, "Oh, hey, maybe this will be the Shirobako of game design." No, it's not. So the Aoba goes to her job, and it's like she doesn't know what to do. One of the ladies hands her just straight away, here's a book on Autodesk Maya. Here you go. And it's like, no. You have to have credentials when you get hired. You have to know what you're doing. Otherwise, they wouldn't hire you. Oh, by the way, we're not going to tell you what game we're working on until the very end of the episode, even though that's an important plot point, because it's the second sequel to a game series that you love. And it's like...
Well, I think that sounds hilarious, but I still have to counter your argument that if you have to know what you're doing when you're working at want to start at a game company, and I hold in your face Mighty Number 9 that doesn't always have to be the case, apparently.
That's a discussion for a different kind of podcast.
Yeah, I guess.
But and that's my one issue, is that I can't suspend myself enough to really get into and enjoy the show, because unlike something like Shirobako, where we're all animators, we're character designers, we're this, that, the other thing, where they know what they're doing, and even things don't always go their way, which they chronicle very clearly beginning and end, and that's what makes it an interesting show. This is just, I mean, it's got a really nicely animated intro sequence, and that's where it ends for me.
Yeah, you can watch that on YouTube.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you feel the need to. Yeah, okay. I mean, just the setup alone, like you said, sounded interesting, and I would have checked it out based on that maybe, but I somehow just completely overlooked it. But yeah, if it doesn't come together, that's a shame.
And I mean, it doesn't bother me that, I mean, people will probably get all over me if we were a bigger name podcast. Oh, John just doesn't like it because it's, all girls or whatever. It's a full female cast. No, that doesn't bother me, because, a lady could do the job of making a video game as well as a guy. I'm pretty certain. But when, your new hire is like, I don't know what to do at all.
Yeah.
What do I do? It's like, maybe you might want to consider, Yeah. Again, I can't suspend myself enough to really enjoy the show, so it goes into the trash.
Yeah, it was done before it even started. Okay, I mean, I've heard some people, enjoying this show, seen it on Twitter, like, hey, this is good, feel something, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's very colorful, it's very cheery. And, I'm sure there are people out there who will enjoy it. And you know what? That's fine. You enjoy what you want to.
Just not for you.
Exactly.
Okay. Speaking of things just not for someone, I got like 3 shows that I instantly dropped after the first episode, who
Uh-oh.
I guess are not for me. First one being Servamp. That
Oh, I've seen bits about that.
Super Fujushi Bait show. I just watched the first episode simply because of the vague premise, and I was like, this could be interesting. So, it's about a guy who basically encounters a kooky hikikomori vampire in his house who turns into a cat when hit by sunlight for some reason.
Turns into a what when hit by sunlight?
A cat-esque creature.
Oh.
Yeah, and
What?
due to circumstances, they form a contract and start battling other vampires. Yeah, it's okay. Just from the setup alone, that could be interesting. I mean, like Hikikomori Vampire, sure, why not? That's something new, I guess, and that could be fun depending on how the jokes are played. But it all felt kind of all way too generic. And so, hey, okay, we got these 2 cute leads who have to do, I don't know, funny things together to, like I said, it's a Fujoshi show. It wears it on its sleeve, and it's not like hiding it or anything. So
It definitely sounds the part.
yeah, girls, check us out. We do fun things, and but for me, it didn't have anything else to offer. The animation wasn't too good. The main characters to me were not that interesting. And not that funny, and the first villain was like super crazy but sexy stereotype who just rants a lot, and then the show just throws a lot of blood at you, which I don't have a problem with, but it felt very cheap in a lot of places. So yeah, I just pretty much dropped it on the spot. Yeah, okay, I've seen enough of this. The next one is this title, Scar Red Rider Xechs.
I think I've seen that name thrown around.
The first time I saw it, I didn't see like the small dots above the R because it's it's spelled scared, but they're like 2 dots on the R, so it's supposed to be Scar Red, apparently. It's like Scared Rider. What the fuck is that even supposed to mean? But no, the main character is a guy with a scar, so I guess that's that. And
I guess they're trying to be clever and make it pseudo-Germanic.
maybe. But yeah, it's a tokusatsu anime, and I like my tokusatsu shit. I've enjoyed quite a lot of Kamen Rider shows, and I thought, hey, cool, something like that, and it's an anime. Maybe it's a bit like Active Raid or something. But oh my god, this show is the blandest shit I have ever seen. The coloring, the character designs, the music, the animation. I've not seen something that bland and boring in quite a while. It was just horrible. I was sinking into my couch, getting more and more bored with every minute. I made it through the first episode in the hope that something interesting would happen, but it didn't. It was excruciating. It's the blandest blandy blend that ever blanded. It's just wow. I was so disappointed. I was like, man, this is gonna be some cool rider action. Even the costume of the fucking tokusatsu rider guys, just so boring in design and horrible. Horrible. Stay away, people. Even if you're interested in stuff like that, nope. This is just wow. That's not how you do your first episode. That's not a series opener. Nope. I can't imagine it. Can't even imagine getting it worse. But sometimes it does that after the first episode. So Jesus Christ, I don't want to witness that. And the last one I instantly dropped, but for completely different reasons, because it's probably going to be an awesome show, is Thunderbolt Fantasy.
Oh, that.
Yeah. So this is by Gen Urobuchi, who did Madoka, Psycho-Pass, and Kamen Rider Gaim. 3 shows I enjoyed immensely. And this is... He likes to, like you see from the Kamen Rider stuff, he likes to dabble in not anime stuff. So this is a puppet show. These are like very elaborate puppets with kind of Chinese design, Chinese clothes and everything. I think the show is set in China, pseudo China, I think, some kind of fantasy version anyway. And it's not just puppeteering, but it's also improved by CG. So the fights in this show look fucking amazing. The music is great. It's by Hiroyuki Sawano again,
Hey.
Yeah. Duh, man. And I love his stuff. And the design of the puppets is very elaborate. I they look cool and everything, and the backgrounds in that show, like the camera movement, everything really energetic. I liked the fights a lot, just blew me away, fantastic. Only problem for me personally, the puppets don't have any facial movement whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah, and that takes me
Oh yeah,
completely
yeah.
out
I
of
remember
it.
seeing something like, or I remember seeing that in screenshots that they were more like masks than
Yeah,
actual like faces.
yeah, but they look like faces, and they're very elaborately painted, and they have normal eyes and everything. But there's just no movement, and that's a personal problem just for me. If it was an actual mask, like maybe a helmet or something, or you see in anime all the time, like
Mm.
superhero wearing a mask or stuff like that. Well, I mean, Spider-Man does that too. If it were just a normal mask and there was talking, and then the face wouldn't move, I would be fine with that. I could still imagine someone behind that mask, with a normal face talking. That's fine with me. But if you see their actual faces that look like faces and nothing is moving while they are talking, I for some reason I just can't invest it. It feels too fake for me. Even old school shit, Thunderbirds that I that I like, that old puppet show with super marionation had a minimal face movement, and it was okay for me. But in this show, nothing like this happens, and it just, I don't know, uncanny valley or something. It just feels too fake. It destroys the illusion for me, and that's a shame because, like I said, it's probably going to be a great show. Just the pedigree, the cast, everything looks so promising. And so, if you are not as weird as me, has such a weird problem with this kind of show, and that stuff doesn't ruin your immersion, by all means check it out because it looks really good. It looks really promising. I urge you to check it out. But still, I had to drop it because I can't see me getting over that.
It's still cool that Urobuchi is dabbling in a different medium.
Yeah, sure. Oh man, and everything he's touched so far, not touched but really steered. I say touched, but he has done like the first 3 episodes in series composition of shows that then were where the reins were given over to other people, and then the shows turned to shit.
Gee, I wonder what show you could be referring to.
Yeah. Maybe that's coming up in a future trash stash. I don't know, just for a flashback trash stash.
Yeah.
But yeah. But every time he has like really like written all of the show pretty much, I enjoyed it. I just love his writing. So this show is probably going to be awesome. He should do whatever he wants and try something new. I think that's amazing. It's just this show is not for one of the first shows of his that is not for me. Well, can have everything, I guess. So what's the next pick on your list that you probably are going to keep watching?
I'm kind of 50-50 on my next one, but
Okay.
it's Love Live Sunshine.
Ah, okay. Oh yeah, I heard you had mixed feelings about this.
Because I got into Love Live a lot later than some other people I know, but I watched the first 2 series and I thought, they were really fun. I liked the characters. They're all very unique and funny and silly. But with Sunshine, I look at it and it's like, oh, if Love Live were a fighting game, you would be the player 2 recolor of this other character. Oh.
Okay, so it's just a redo of the first show. Yes.
Yeah, no. They keep wanting to say like, "Hey, do you remember Muse, the idol group from the first 2 series? Do you remember them? Do you remember them? Why don't you remember them? I want I want to be like Muse." Blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, all right, chill out.
I mean, it's interesting that they're infusing the idea of legacy in there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely predicated on that which came before it, and if that's the crutch they're gonna be riding on for the entire series, I don't know how much further I'm gonna get, man.
Well, I guess there's still the hope that, I don't know, at least at the midway point, they're going into a new direction to, differentiate and be like, hey, this is a new thing. This is, hey, we showed you all the why you like all the old stuff. Now we're going to show you why this is a different thing. We just had to make you remember first.
Because I mean, in the first series, the very first series, the first season, it was, oh, our school is in danger of closing down because of low enrollment. What can we do to draw people in? I know will form, school idols are apparently a big thing in the universe of Love Live, as, wide and as grand as it is. Use your imagination.
Mhm.
Alternate history Japan. I don't know. So
Always a
these
possibility.
pretty much these 9 girls group together and they form, their group Muse, and they draw attention to their school and they get enrollment high up again. And hey, it doesn't have to close down. Happy ending. And then the second series ends up being, let's make an even bigger name for ourselves. Let's enter the titular competition, Love Live, and be the next big things. Yeah, cool. And then in this new one, it's like, let's just go to Love Live, and it's like, honey, you're making a very big logical leap here. You don't start from 0 and go to 100. There's other stories that are allowed to. Yeah, there's other stories that are allowed to go from 0 to 100. You are not.
Okay.
Because then it's not believable. There's no struggle. And I mean, they're trying, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it one more.
Okay. Well, tell me how it turns out. Or, well, I will learn about it eventually in either in a normal review or a trash stash, I guess.
Pretty much.
But yeah, I hope it turns out that they do something new with it. I mean, I was personally never interested in Love Life because the whole idol thing is just not a hook that is for me, I guess. And it's like, but I heard like only good things about at least the first show.
I mean, I cut my teeth as far as idol culture goes. Well, I mean, I guess you want to be really technical, you could go all the way back to Robotech.
Oh yeah.
But as far as idol-centric stuff goes, I really cut my teeth on the Idol Master. And we have a mutual friend who basically rejects the concept of anything idol related if it's not OG Idol Master.
A purist, yes.
No Love Live, no I Masked Cinderella Girls, no Million Live, no none of this, none of that, just OG Idol Master.
And that mutual friend is Kentaro Miura.
No, he loves all of Idol Master.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Hey, are you excited for the next chapters of Berserk after Platinum Stars comes out?
Oh, what new chapters of Berserk? By the way, I mean, if you got nothing more to add to Love Life, let's talk about Berserk, I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So am I. So the new Berserk show came out, and it's almost all in CG, as you could see in the trailers. Some people apparently... Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Thanks. Well, some people apparently couldn't tell that from the trailer, because it was still amazing how many people after watching the first episode were like, holy shit, this show looks really bad. I was like, guys, you watched the trailer. How didn't you know? I told you from the beginning. I said to you, this is almost all CG. This is almost like worse than the movies. This looks like shit. And everyone is like, what? No. Jesus Christ. This show. Okay. It had multiple problems. The first one, of course, being the CG stuff. It looks really cheap. Of course, this is even lower budget than the movie stuff, and the frame rate seems to be even lower. I don't even know how.
How?
Yeah, the character models really feel, again, weightless and flimsy, and I don't know, just very limited in their motion and animation and everything. And I don't mind the look where they like shrivel lines, like it's basically from a manga panel on the faces and everything. I think that's all right. That's cool. But it just the motion of the whole thing, just everything in motion looks not good, in my opinion. Guts' mouth looks weird. Doesn't really translate well to screen. Stuff like that. And there's some scenes in there in that show that are normal 2D animation, and they all look gorgeous, which makes this all the more sad that 90% of the show doesn't. But it's not just the CG animation and everything. They are apparently, after watching the first episode, they're skipping like 3 volumes worth of story material after this. And I have no idea why, if we're going to see some flashbacks or something. But there's like, after the first episode where Guts meets Puck, the little elf boy, you would say, though I think elves are supposed to be genderless in this, I think, or kind of. Anyway, yeah, after he meets him, they like go on a longer journey and encounter some enemies, and And then the Golden Age arc starts, which was covered by the 3 movies recently. And then we go back to the present time, because Golden Age is set in the past. It's the origin of Guts and everything. And then we go back to the present time and get a few more stories with Guts and Puck alone. And then we get to the point in the story where all the new characters are introduced, basically Guts' RPG party. And he makes new friends and everything. And basically the anime jumps from the first episode, that is the first chapter of the manga, to the second episode where Guts meets the new cast and his RPG party. And there's like this huge chunk of like getting to know Guts and Puck in between that they just took out for some reason. Or like, why? I thought this was just supposed to cover the stuff we didn't see in the movies and the Golden Age arc. So because that already got covered in the old show and in the movies. So I'm like, why did you take out that stuff? So yeah, it's weird. It's like, okay, this is just feels like a totally misguided adaptation, and yeah, I'm disappointed to say the least, because I love the manga, I love Berserk as a story and everything, and I wanted a new good anime adaptation for so long of all the material we hadn't seen yet, and it doesn't seem like we're getting that. So this is a downer for me.
I remember you linking like a comparison pic of I think it's supposed to be some scene where it looks like Guts is like backhanding some guy. In the manga, it's got like it has impact, it has detail, it looks really good, and then in the show, it just looks flat as hell, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff is like, okay, you can translate all of Miura's art like into anime faithfully because he is just too wild. I think some of his panels took him, I don't know how many hours, days, weeks to draw, because they're so elaborate. There's so much detail. It's a painting. It's like a masterful art painting. And I can see them not being able to adapt that into anime. But the simple action stuff, naturally. But the limits of the CG, or the limits of how they used CG in Japan, in TV specifically, it's just, it doesn't work with this kind of show. And it just feels like, oh, we had to make a show that can't have a big budget, so to make it like look consistent, we have to use CG. Or they really thought this looked good, which I get more and more the feeling that they do, because I've read interviews of people who's like, oh yeah, CG is cool and stuff like that. We got this figured out. Doesn't this look good? And everybody's saying no, it doesn't, but they don't listen. So I don't know. Yeah, but even the old ass show from the 90s looked better than this. So, and that had a pretty low budget in parts, although everyone I think who has seen it liked it. But yeah, I'm gonna keep watching it because it's Berserk, and I'm probably gonna complain about every episode on Twitter. So if you're into that, follow me on Twitter @ComicChaser and get a free Berserk complaining pass with every passing week. But anyway, yeah, that's enough downing material, I guess, and talk about Berserk. It's gonna come up in a review naturally, or in the trash test. Though I think even with all my complaints about this, I don't have it in my heart to put Berserk in the trash set. So we'll see. But yeah, what's your next pick?
My next pick is a little something called Sweetness and Lightning.
Ah, yes.
It's about this teacher. He's a recent widower. He's trying to raise his little daughter on his own, but it's tough because he has to work. He doesn't have a lot of time. And the show sort of centers around the fact that he doesn't really know how to cook. So a lot of what they eat comes from convenience store meals and whatnot. But one of his students says, "Hey, come over to my family's restaurant and I'll totally cook something up for you." And then after that, he vows, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to learn how to cook for you. I'm going to spend more time with you. It's going to be a good time for everybody. It's a sweet story.
Yeah, it sounds incredibly cute. I don't really know why I haven't checked it out. I feel like the premise alone doesn't do it for me. I should have checked out the first episode, but I somehow didn't get to it. I was like, this could be neat just in terms of an emotional angle, but the stuff people are telling me about it are like, yeah, this is the finally the kid is voiced by a real kid. This all feels very natural, and then I'm immediately like, I don't know if I want to see that because kids tend to get really annoying to me in TV and everything. So if this is voiced by a real kid, this might not add to my viewing pleasure.
I feel like the way the kid's voice actress plays it out, though, it does feel very natural. It's because, the way she says stuff and, some of the mannerisms. I don't know. I think it's neat. I
Okay.
like it. And I mean, I feel like it's going to be one of those shows.
Oh, you mean with the feelings button?
With the feels every single
Oh.
episode. Because the last show to do that to me was Plastic Memories, and I thought that was a show where I thought I was ready for the ending. If you think you're ready for the end of that show, you're wrong. You're super wrong.
There's another show this season that seems to venture into that territory, but we'll get to that later. At least I will. I don't know if you picked it up.
I'm not sure. I'll find out. But yeah, Sweetness and Lightning. I think it seems like it'll be a neat little story.
Yeah,
About,
it's
father-daughter.
Maybe I'll still check out the first episode. I'm not sure yet. It's like just the story premise alone. I'm like, yeah, this sounds cute, but not that interesting to me. That's all. But I've seen everyone who watched it was like, oh, this is the cutest thing, and this is gonna be fun. And I'm like, okay, maybe we'll see. The next show I checked out is Days, not 91 Days. That's coming later. Just Days, and that's a soccer anime.
Oh, that show.
Mm-hmm. It's in the same vein as, let's say, Kuroko's Basketball and Haikyuu. Pretty boys doing fun things with their balls.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's for the sports angle, and yeah, the last good soccer anime I saw was Giant Killing. That was a lot of fun, so I'm looking forward to this one.
Definitely never heard of that.
Great show, great little show. But not that well known, I guess. It's not that super popular, but really fun show, and this could be fun too. Characters so far are not as engaging as in the spot shows I mentioned, but maybe that will change over time. Animation is really good. Studio Mappa, which did Ushio&Tora, which we'll talk about later too. Delivering the goods again. It's like nice detail, not a CG ball, which happened in other sports shows too. And yeah, it looks good. It looks fun. Characters seem a bit superficial right now, but could be fun as well. And yeah, it's just a fun, simple sports anime with lots of pretty guys in it for the girls, and lots of riveting soccer action for the boys, or at least for the soccer fans, I guess, or sports fans like me. I just like I like me sports anime. I loved Haikyuu, I loved Kuroko's Basketball, I loved Hajime no Ippo, all that stuff. Just when going against the odds and helping your team survive, or getting up against a stronger opponent, stuff like that. I just dig it, and especially if it's well animated and with frantic pacing and everything. So we'll see how Days turns out. It looks promising.
Yeah, I mean, the last sports anime I watched a million years ago was Eye Shield 21, and I haven't really heavily dabbled in any since.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for everyone. I think sports, that's one of those cliches that's in terms of DVD and Blu-ray, sports anime never sell in the US. Because sports fans don't watch anime, and anime fans don't watch sports. I think that's the cliche or something, and that's why they don't have a big audience over there. I don't know how it is over here. I think soccer has a pretty good standing just because Germany is a soccer country. And every time, a big tournament is coming up, like the World Cup or the Euro Cup, which happened just now, I'm like, maybe there's a soccer anime coming up. And yep, that's what happened. So that's what I got, and it looks good so far. So we'll see how it turns out.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not wholly against sports anime. I just don't really watch them as well.
Yeah, sure, why not? All right, next pick from you.
I am going to say Fate Kaleid Liner Prisma Illya Dry.
Yeah, right. A long-running series of Fate spin-offs that have very hard to pronounce titles, or at least hard to remember.
Well, just because, they've been going with counting numbers in German,
Yeah.
even though there were two series called Zwei, but we're gonna push past that.
Okay.
Um, how can I sum this up? Basically, it's the whole of the Prisma Illya story is like this alternate universe thing where Rin and Luvia are absolutely they're magical girls, but they're awful at their jobs. They're terrible.
Mm.
So, so their devices, Ruby and Sapphire, decide, hey, we're gonna lend our talents to, a couple other girls and see if they can do better. And guess what? They actually can. One of them is Ilya,
Ah.
and the other is this girl Miyu. And with this particular season, I think we're finally going to start to delve into Miyu's backstory a little more, and I'm interested to see what goes on.
So is it more like comedy or is it more action? I don't know. Magical Girls shows can go either way.
It's got a little of both.
Okay.
I feel like this one's probably going to be a lot more story and action driven, but there are bursts of comedy in there.
Okay.
And one of the things about Dry is that the composer for this season is different. It's Techno Boys Green Pulse. Fucking A. It's a weird name. Techno Boys Polcraft Green Fund.
Yep, that's very fitting for the title of the show. So,
they've done some other stuff, like in particular Trinity 7.
Oh, okay.
So when I heard the music, I was like, wait a minute, this sounds different from the past series. And I was like, oh, okay, so it is a different composer, and their music it's got a lot more like synth and bass in it, and it's really cool. And I think it'll add a nice touch to it.
Cool. Sounds interesting. Maybe I'll check out the soundtrack. I probably won't check out the show because I haven't seen the first 2 or 3 seasons.
You'd be out about 30, 35 episodes by now. But yeah, when the soundtrack pops up, I'll let you know because I think it'll be worth listening to.
Cool. Looking forward to that.
What is your next pick?
My next pick is my guilty pleasure trash anime of the season, I assume, at least. It's called Taboo Tattoo. It's yeah. You heard of that?
I've seen the name, but I don't know anything about it other than it's the new JC staff show.
Yeah, it's a 90s fighting action or so it seems. I don't know its origin generally, but in terms of tone and coloring and everything, it feels super trashy. The main character has super shitty design, looks super generic. It's just guy with mid cut and normal school outfit, whatever. Super boring, but the first episode had very nice hand-to-hand combat between the two main characters. I just like the choreography of that, and so I was like, okay, I'll stick with it for now. It seems to be super dumb. It's like about the main guy basically runs into a stranger, I don't know if he helps him or something. He gets a tattoo from him, and it turns out on his hand, and it turns out that tattoo is a special weapon. For some reason. Yeah, it's a super weapon. He's not the only one who has such a tattoo, of course, but he can basically use, I don't know if it's gravity or if he can just create a vacuum in space or something like that, and turn that into a weapon. But he has to be careful. If he can't control it, that will kill him and stuff like that. So yeah, and to see that doesn't happen, like a girl who also has one of those tattoos and her, I don't know, companion, butler, whatever, turn up and say, hey, we're going to train you if you become part of our special group, who have a weird name. And she has the weirdest name. Her name, she's supposed to be American, and her name is Floozy Bluesy.
I'm sorry?
That's or Fruzy Bruzy. It's one of the weirdest names I've ever seen in an anime. But I laughed out loud when I read that.
Okay, see, that seems fine. What?
It's probably a reference to something. Anyway, I didn't get it, but it was fun. So yeah, this is just a crappy, trashy action show. There's fan service, there's blood, and the and the characters are toony as hell. It could be entertaining enough to keep me around. We'll see. Maybe either way, it's probably going to land in a trash stash, but I don't know if it will be complete series or not, or if I will drop it in between. But for now, it was entertaining enough that I might keep it around. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that is not really a recommend from me. Just if you like your guilty pleasure anime and want to see something trashy each season like I do, this is probably the show to pick. But it's definitely not good. So,
well, they can't all be winners, as we know.
Yep. So, your next pick.
My next pick is a double pick.
Oh, okay.
Danganronpa 3, The End of Hope's Peak Academy, Future Arc, and Despair Arc.
Uh-huh. So what's the difference?
Well, this is me coming hot off the heels of just finishing Danganronpa 2, because I want to get caught up.
The anime or the game? Or
the game. There was no anime adaptation of the second game.
Oh, so they skipped out completely out of the story of the second game in anime form?
Right.
But wait, if the new series is set after that, doesn't that like cause a bit of problems if you have only watched like the anime and not played the games?
Yes and no, because like I said, it's two different shows. Future Arc is the aftermath of the second game, and it follows the Future Foundation and all of their goings on, and a brand new killing game. It's hard to really talk about it without going heavy into spoilers.
Yeah, I imagine. You can tell me, but the audience maybe hasn't played the games, and I played I watched someone else play through the first two games, and I enjoyed it. But yeah, those games have really neat twists, and you wouldn't want those spoiled for you. So
yeah, if you're one of like the 10 people who has a PlayStation Vita, buy the games, or I guess they're on Steam now too. Just buy and play them; they're good fun.
Yeah.
On the other side of the coin is Despair Arc, which is story that leads into the second game.
Oh, okay.
So we get to see, how can I say this without being spoilery? We see the formation of despair, as it were.
Yeah. For everyone who has played the games, he knows they know what you are talking about. But yeah,
they will know. People who aren't up on their dang it grandpas won't.
Yeah.
Buy and play the games, or I guess you could watch the first series and then play the second game if that's how you feel.
Yes,
or you could play the first game and watch the first series to compare the two. Because it's pretty faithful, though.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people had apparently problems with the and apparently I'm one of them. I watched someone else play through the first game, and it's like, hey, maybe I watch the first anime series as well. Just maybe watch some of the little details I missed in certain parts because I couldn't watch the whole playthrough live.
And you gotta remember, you're condensing a 35-hour game down to 13 episodes.
Yeah, and the adaptation was just very by the numbers. They hit on all the important story points, but there was not that much. There was not as much intensity in it. I felt like it was in the game in terms of staging and everything. So I came away from that. I didn't finish the anime adaptation, so I was like, okay, I guess the game is enough, and because I just had the better experience first. But maybe if you watch the anime first, I don't know.
I still appreciate what they tried to do with it. Also, I will also say that the same composer that worked on the games has done all of the series, Masafumi Takada, and his music is like god tier.
Yeah, I greatly enjoyed the music in those games, yes. But yeah, complicated story, and so I really...
And then the twist at the end of the second game, woof!
Yeah, that was, wow. Fantastic. Woof. Didn't see that coming at all. It's like, oh shit. Yeah, great stuff. And but definitely, if you haven't played the games, I guess don't check out the new series, or you will probably either be lost or you will be spoiled, or both. So I guess that's the takeaway from this. But otherwise, it's a recommend from you, I guess.
It won't be easy to follow. And I'm still working my way through Ultra Despair Girls, but I don't think it is a requirement to really get the story in 3. But I'm just playing through it because I want I want to play the games, man.
Where's Ultra Despair Gold set in the series timeline?
It's supposed to be between the first and second games.
Oh, okay. So it would maybe correlate with the Despair arc of the anime of the new.
Not quite, but
Different cast.
Well, I mean, there's obviously a different main character, across all of the stories, but it has a different focus.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, takeaway from this: there's a lot of Danganronpa out there, and if you want to start, if you feel like starting something big, this is this is a series to pick in game and anime form. But I recommend you start with the games, and then work yourself to the anime, I guess.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Then my next pick is gonna be something comparable, as in it's a sequel to a big series that came before it. And you will be completely lost if you start with this version, and that's D.Gray-man Hallow.
Uh-huh.
And this is the new season for an anime that wrapped up its first run in 2008, I think. It's about exorcists, living weapons, and a clan of godlike beings those exorcists have to fight. Main character is called Alan Walker, a guy with kind of a demonic parasitic arm as a weapon. Yeah, this is a show I watched back in the day when it aired, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. And then nothing came after that. It was pretty open-ended. It was an adaptation from a manga, and the manga was still running. It is still running. Same problem as with Berserk. Apparently, it gets updated very sparsely. So Hallow is a direct sequel to the first D.Gray-man show, and there's barely any recap. So if you haven't watched the old show or read the manga, you will be completely lost in terms of characters, in terms of story. I don't recommend you start without having watched the old show. There is an article right now on ANN and catches up new viewers on the events of the first show, just in terms of story and characters. Basic, very basic. But of course, it lacks any kind of substance or emotional connection to the characters you get from watching the actual show. So I can totally understand why someone wouldn't want to go back and watch 103 episodes of an older shonen action show.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. But just be aware of that. I'd still recommend watching the show over, just catching up in written form or something. I've recently rewatched the first series. I've liked through not all of those 103 episodes. There's some filler in there, and I checked out a filler guide to see which episodes I could skip, and that worked really well. And yeah, I still enjoyed that show. I think it's a pretty solid shonen show with some neat designs that are not that common for these kind of shows. It's really weird in parts and got some strong emotional beats here and there. So yeah, it's pretty good stuff. So I'm pretty hyped for this new season, even though I read somewhere that it's only going to be 13 episodes, which is kind of a shame because
Really?
I hope for more. Yeah, but hey, at least we got something at all, and I'm looking forward to more D.Gray-man. And it looks better than the old show too now.
Another one of my friends was super hyped, like astoundingly hyped for it.
Yeah.
So watching him just gradually build up and basically explode so when the new season started was like, oh jeez, no.
I hope he or she will be content with what they delivered. I am so far. It looks already really intriguing. And I wasn't super hyped in the beginning. I was like, oh, new D.Gray-man, cool. I remember that show faintly. And then I rewatched the show and was like, oh man, I have forgotten all about the later story parts. And this is amazing. This is fantastic. Okay, I like it. This is really good shonen stuff. Okay, now I'm looking forward to the new season. And then I read only 13 episodes and I was like, oh, goddamn.
Maybe they'll do more episodes in like a later season or something.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But I tried to watch D.Gray-man back in the day, and I couldn't really get into it myself. But hey, good for the people who have been waiting, forever for it.
Yeah, quite a while. Yeah, looking forward to it. Anyway, your next pick?
Let's see.
Hey, we had no crossover so far. I think that's pretty.
I wonder if I only have, I think, 4 picks left, so let's see if it starts now.
Okay.
So the next one I'm going to pick is Active Raid Second.
Well, no, not for me because I haven't watched the first season yet, which I have to do. I'm probably gonna watch like the entire. I'm gonna start now so that by the time season 2 ends, I can binge that too. So
Well, then it will be crossover at a later time.
yeah,
Yes, yes. But yeah, it's the continuation of the misadventures of our good friends in the Public Security 5th Division 3rd Mobile Assault 8th Unit. That's a mouthful.
no kidding.
One of the crews decide, I'm done with all this crime fight and stuff, and he goes to join a civilian trash company, and then they end up calling him in anyway because it's like, hey, dude, we need your help. And he basically comes back on as a civilian contractor, which I don't feel like is super spoiler since it's the first episode. But it feels like it's gonna be more of the same with a different villain focus of some kind. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how they move forward with Unit 8's misadventures as they were.
Yeah.
Although between the first and second series, it seems like they have managed to garner at least a little bit of respect and a name for themselves. So maybe things will go their way this time around.
Yeah, I wonder because at the beginning of the first season, I've only watched like the first 3 episodes. They were still really struggling.
Yeah, nobody liked them.
Yeah.
They were like the rogues gallery.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I mean, looking forward to the show. But like I said, I haven't finished the first season yet, so I'm going to do that. But since you mentioned a second season, like I didn't plan to mention this, so I'm just going to bring it up quickly with one sentence. Of the second season of Heroic Legend of Arslan show Air 2. Of course, I'm going to watch that, but since I haven't reviewed the first season or like haven't even brought it up, I'm just going to do that once that show is finished, and that be that. So I didn't mention it now. But yeah, that's airing too, so I'm going to watch that too. But yeah, Active Raid. Looking forward to actually, watching the show probably at the end of the season, like all of it. And yeah, cool Toku stuff.
Yeah.
Next show on my list is 91 Days.
Now the crossover has truly begun.
Okay, all right. So this is a mafia revenge story. It's about this boy.
Angelo, yeah.
Angelo
Laguzza.
Okay. So it's about this boy, Angelo. This is happening in the first episode, so it's not really a spoiler. His whole family apparently gets killed by a rivaling mafia group or something. It's not quite clear yet. Or a Don anyway. And and apparently he swears revenge, and he, years later after this happens, he returns to his town and to his childhood friend who has made a name of himself as a distiller of alcohol, I guess.
Bootlegger, basically.
Bootlegger, basically. Yeah. I don't know if it's time of prohibition or something, and that's why alcohol is such a big thing. It might be. But yeah, this is what's happening, and they fight this way. They try to get their way into a mafia family, and I assume this is a setup for him getting to power and taking revenge on whoever killed his family. And yeah, that's the setup. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
I like that. I can't think of many other anime that deal with like the mafia as opposed to like Yakuza.
I think there were like mafia. There was a mafia-esque organization, or even mafia parts in the show before Durarara. Same creators.
Bakano.
In Bakano, I think that had mafia guys in it.
Yeah, you might be right. I think that's another one I started to watch but never finished.
And Gangster.
Oh, Gangster. Yeah.
And I believe Gangster had some mafia-esque companies. But aside from that, you're right. Mafia is not, at least I haven't seen that many shows that either, that dabble in that territory. And not in such a, I don't know if realistic is the right word, but yeah, I just use it, realistic way, because this all feels like very grounded and very, I don't know. This is how it could go off, except for some of outlandish characters. There's one in the first episode that's really crazy and stuff like that. But just in terms of, hey, this is a story in that time period and everything, and it's not just adapting those structures.
Yeah, the fact that it's a period piece, I think, is what
Yeah.
it really drew me in. I mean, it's got the same writer as Joker game,
Mhm.
but which makes me hope it doesn't fall flat for me the way that show did. But
Yeah, it seems to be, I don't know, it seems to have a stronger character focus than Joker game anyway, which for me, and we will get to that in my review of it, but which was for me kind of a downfall of a Joker game, that you didn't spend enough time with the characters. I say downfall, I still like the show, but still, that was my main issue with it. But yeah, 91 Days seems to be like this straight revenge story focused on at least the two main characters, or maybe four guys, judging from the end of the first episode. Yeah, the first episode was kind of chaotic in terms of story structure, at least in later points. Lots of characters thrown at you, and the dialogue had somewhat of a loose feel to it, but I like that. It's all kind of jazzy. Yeah, it felt a bit even like the last Lupin show we reviewed in a way, just in terms of some shit happens now that you didn't anticipate, and it just feels like this came out of nowhere, kind of. Lupin ran into Zenigata out of nowhere, stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know, and the setting and the coloring, it's a very beautiful show, I have to say. Like it's outstandingly beautiful.
I mean, there were a couple of hitches in the second episode that I had a hard time turning a blind eye to, but all around it seems like it'll be pretty cool.
Okay. I haven't seen the second episode yet, but first episode looked amazing. And yeah, I just looking forward to that story and how the characters turn out and everything. So yeah, cool show. Recommended for now. So what's your next pick?
Next one is another crossover between us two.
Oh, okay, I'm listening.
Regalia, the Three Sacred Stars.
All right.
So, as nearly as I can tell, because, I'm only 2 episodes in. I don't know if you watched the second episode yet.
Yes, I did.
Okay. It seems to be about this girl who apparently is also a robot, like a giant robot.
Mm-hmm.
And
seems to be the AI of that robot in a way, or something.
Yeah, I guess. Like
she can transform into a robot. She can basically summon a robot, or yeah.
There are a lot of unknowns in the story thus far, but
yeah. She appears as a human, but she can turn into a giant robot for some reason. That's
yes.
Yeah.
And she's like the sister, but not quite. More like adopted sister of this
and
girl.
Possible love interest to this other main character.
We're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
There's the words. The sister, adopted sister, words, use them, John, of this girl, Yui, who is essentially the empress of this kingdom, Astoria, I believe it's called.
Yeah, where the story is set.
I'm not quite certain what direction it's going in just yet, other than they have cast the lure for the Yuri bait very fast and hard.
Oh, yeah. No kidding.
Because there's a scene.
They don't hold back.
There's a scene at the end of the second episode where it seems like a character makes an offhanded comment, but both characters are very clearly bothered by it, and it's like, oh, okay, so I see where you're going. That's where you're going. That's the direction. Okay, all right,
yeah.
Go for it. Have fun.
It's always, I don't know, it's always weird with this show. I mean, with these kind of shows, Symphogear is a lot of that stuff too. Where they don't outright say, hey, we are a lesbian couple. They live together. They lay in the same bed together. They're holding hands a lot. Maybe they kiss. That rarely happens. But it's not outright said. It's like, oh, okay, maybe those two are lesbians. They probably are, but we're not saying it. And I'm like, why not? What is the... Is that ruining that would that ruin that for people who are watching these shows because of this, like because of the Yuri stuff? Are they like, no, they should touch each other and they should hold each other and they should do Yuri lesbian stuff, but never say they're lesbians, because like, what? Okay,
but
is that ruining some fantasy for you that you could maybe get in there or something? I don't know. It just seems weird to me.
But your waifu has to be a pure virgin, didn't you know?
You're right. Yeah, maybe if they actually committed to it fully, that would ruin some of the I don't know.
Because I mean,
some of the ideals.
If a show went for that, all right, fine, go for
Yeah.
it. Have an openly gay couple.
Yeah.
It's I don't feel like in this day and age people would not welcome it. I mean, maybe some people might, but they just don't have open minds
Yeah.
to just put that right out there.
Sure, exactly. And it's just, you could obviously argue, yeah, of course they are. Of course, this is the show is wearing it on its sleeve again. But it's just, for me, it's always like with these kind of shows, they're always putting like a layer of fog over it. It was like barely hiding it. It was like, why? Why would you even? Why not make them, outright a couple who, doesn't just, I don't know. It's weird. Putting the One-chan thing in there and everything is like, okay, why? And yeah, it's...
Didn't that happen with Korra, where one of the show creators, after the show ended, was like, these two characters are exactly what you think they were?
Yeah, and people are still wondering if he did that because of the shippers on Tumblr to
God.
to go for that audience and make them happy because those got really invested into the series, or if it was the design from the beginning. It felt a bit weird, like, yeah, these characters have spent a lot of time together, but there was never any allusion to that in the show before. And then just at the beginning, oh yeah, okay, we're a couple now. And I'm like, what? Where did that come from? I mean, I'm okay with it, but where did that come from?
But yeah, there are, I guess you can't even really say shades of it in Regalia, because it's very much like, it's more like it's walking up to you, nudging you heavily and saying, hey, 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 hey,
Yeah.
hey.
And
hey.
By that point, you're pressing your hand against its face. Okay, I get it. Yeah. Anyway, but the show has a lot of other stuff to offer. Hey, let's not forget the Max.
Robots.
Yeah, that too. Also, I mean, the mechs look amazing. I really like the design of Magna Electo. It's called, I think, the red thing with his weird hero scarf stuff. So,
oh my god, the scarf is so good. I love that.
It's cool shit, and the fights look good too.
Yeah.
If Funimation's codec wasn't weirdly fucked up, it would look more consistent.
There's some weird animation hitches that are not the studio's fault.
Yeah, but
clearly not the studio's fault, I should say.
But yeah, the show looks like a cool action show, and I can see why people wouldn't, be interested in it just by seeing the designs, because all those, there are a lot of lollies in there. It's you have. I'm willing to look past that. If the characters are not blatantly sexualized. Symphogear and Black Bullet had a lot of that kind of design work too, and it didn't bother me too much because those shows delivered on the action and story and character work. But I can understand, just because of they see the design and it's all those little girls, and then you hear, oh, it's Yuri stuff. I'm like, I can understand if people pull a Seinfeld gif on that one, like raise up their hands and walk out of the theater, and and like, yeah, okay. But still, I really like the design of the mechs. I think the story setup is neat. The characters are sympathetic, and yeah, I want to see where it goes. So, yeah, cool little show. I hope it delivers, and I can't tell right now where the story is going, but I'm interested to see.
Yeah, I want to see where it goes too.
All right, then I'm gonna get to a show that you most definitely are not watching because you told me you want to play the game, and that is Tales of Zestiria the X.
Yeah, my personal plan after I finish Ultra Despair Girls is to play through Xillia 2, and then Zestiria. So I got my roadmap all laid out.
That's a lot of RPG, man, and those are not small ones. So good luck.
Oh, I'm get it done somehow.
I wonder if some fatigue will set in after like Xillia.
No. This is a sidebar, but a few years back I played through Tales of the Abyss and then Mass Effect 2 like 2 weeks back to back, and after that I was like, ugh.
I can't imagine. Man, Tales of the Abyss is a long-ass game. I didn't expect it to be that long. I'm at the 60-hour mark and it's still going. I'm like, what is happening?
I don't remember taking quite that long to finish.
Well,
it.
I took some time in the casinos playing poker, so...
Oh, well, at least you didn't spend... You didn't spend the 200 hours I did fully completing Vesperia. Holy shit.
Wow. Jesus fucking Christ.
200 hours.
I think the most I've spent on any RPG is 150, and it was Final Fantasy VII. Maxed out everything with a friend of mine on his save state. We did that together. And then his brother went and deleted that save state to make his own. Death threats were thrown around that day.
I think before we get back to the subject at hand, the other two RPGs I spent the most time completing were Tales of Grace's F and Demon Souls.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that.
But yes, Zestiria the X.
Yes, adaptation of the game with almost the same name, just without the X, the X. That was weird because it started with like an episode 0, which not everyone caught up to in the beginning. It was like, oh, that was a weird first episode. Because the first episode, like the episode 0, doesn't feature the main character as you would see, like the guy, the guy with the brown hair. Soray is his name, right?
Is this different than like that special they had before the game came out?
It's completely different. It's like they redid it basically. Him and the female main character meet in a different way, and I mean the animation special they did sets up after what has happened in the show up to this point. So I don't know, maybe some of that stuff will be the same, but yeah, still the beginning is completely different. The first episode, which is this episode 0, is like completely focused on the female character Alicia, who is this princess of an important country, and there's some shit going wrong at the borders of her country. I think people are disappearing or a city's getting destroyed, and she's trying to find out what's happening, and sends first a subject of her to check it out, and then later she and her party try to catch up to said person because she didn't return and everything, try to find out what happened, and then shit goes down, like gets super crazy, and from there on out the show starts basically, and in the second episode the other main character is introduced, and so
I know a lot of people were not really too taken with Alicia's role in the game.
Yeah, because a lot of people thought she would be the main character, right?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I don't know firsthand. I just, heard a lot of complaints, and there was like a whole like truckload of bullshit that went down in Japan where basically Hideo Baba doesn't appear in public anymore. One of the voice actresses issued an apology. It was just like, guys, chill out.
It's just a game, guys.
But to that end, I hope, they do right with her character in the show.
It seems like it, because like I said, the first episode is entirely about her, and we'll see. This might be more evenly paced in the show than in the game, and she might get more character development or whatever, or more screen time. And it's a great looking show. There's CG in there, especially for the environments and everything.
It's Ufotable, right?
Yeah, it's Ufotable. They did Fate Zero and the new Fate Stay Night adaptation, and yeah, they do great work always. The character models look sharp as fuck, and it's really vibrant coloring and animation and everything. I like I said, CG. I don't mind the CG in this one most of the time. There are some frame issues when they mix the 2D drawn character models with the 3D environment, because again, they're trying to adapt the frame rate of the CG to the frame rate of the 2D models, which I don't know, isn't really necessary, but then you get like these hiccups, right? These frame stutters. And yeah, that's what happens. But rarely. There was like one scene where that was noticeable for me. Other than that, like especially the first episode, again, looked amazing. The battles, it was such this really epic fantasy shit happening on my screen. It was like pushed into my couch. Was great stuff. That was probably my favorite first episode of this season, just in terms of what's happening. The atmosphere is really tense, and the action is great, and the promise of what is to come is really good. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah, and I love that they put the conversation skits, which is a staple of the Tales game, in there as episode previews.
Yeah, I saw RPG site tweet about that a few days ago. I was like, oh, that's a really neat idea.
Yeah, I love that. It made me very happy. As I saw that in the beginning, it was like, oh man, that's cool. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that series quite a lot. I want to see where it goes, and that's it. If you don't plan to play the game but want some cool RPG stuff, check it out. I think it's gonna be good. So, what's your next pick?
Next pick is, I think it's the last on my list, and
Oh boy, I still got some ways to go.
I'm certain that it is one of our other crossovers,
Yeah.
Mob Psycho 100.
Mm-hmm.
I got on board with this after seeing it's the same guy who authored One Punch Man, so I want to see what he's got to bring to the table with this story.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a kid whose nickname is Mob, and apparently he kind of suppresses his emotions, because when he gets all the way to the max, well, boom, everything goes just goes kaboom.
It's like the hook of this show. You got this timer that says that many hours or that many percent until Mob's explosion or something.
Yeah.
And we don't exactly know right now what that entails. There is a teaser at the very beginning of the first episode that lets you guess what's gonna happen, but you can't be quite sure. So,
I mean, I like that he comes across very deadpan in an attempt to keep himself in check, and we see him in the first episode teaming up with this questionable guy who says he does spirit exorcism.
That's putting it mildly. He's a crook. He's like a total fake.
It's just like, oh yeah, that guy was easy, Mob. I just left him to you so you could get some practice. And the people pay him for his services. And he's like, oh, Mob, here's your pay. Just hands him 300 yen. It's like, oh, okay. It's like that, huh?
Yeah, he's a douchebag. He's a total douchebag. And I mean, it's cool. He's like the crazy reaction face GIF guy to Mob's, straight man who has to suppress emotions. And I think that combination works really well together. And they encounter a lot of weird shit.
I like him as a lovable sort of scumbag, Reagan's character.
Just from the first episode, I would just, speaking directly to our listeners right now, and say, hey, you out there listening, do you like animation?
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to see cool and crazy animated stuff that you have probably not seen shown on screen in that way yet? Watch that fucking show. Because just from a visual standpoint, this show is fucking amazing.
Bones are on like their not even their A game, like their S game with this, I feel like. Because I mean, I love the intro sequence. It's a fever dream.
Yeah, it definitely is. Just from the first few seconds of the show, then the opening, and then all the crazy shit that's happening in the show itself, just in terms of facial animation, of crazy ghost shit appearing, and special effects. It's a blast. It's an LSD trip. Or that's what I imagine it to be.
And I like, in comparison to One Punch Man, where Madhouse kind of like cleaned up the character designs a little bit.
Yeah.
How Bones kept these ones a lot more faithful.
Yeah.
It still has a little bit of that gritty dojin edge to them.
Yeah, it's super rough in certain spots, but intentionally.
Yeah.
And that's cool. That's like it lends itself very well to like this loose animation style with very fluid movements and everything, and which then don't look out of place in certain parts. And yeah, it's got weird wonky designs. It's got one of my favorite jokes probably I've seen. I kind of feel hesitant to give it away, but it's just if you don't want to hear skip like 20 seconds forward. But when Mob goes to school and meets the girl he's interested in, and all the other girls he doesn't care about have like vegetables as heads, I fucking died. Couldn't give a shit. It's such a great visual metaphor. I fucking loved it. Stuff like that is in the entire first episode, and it's amazing. And I hope they keep doing that, and I imagine they will. And I really want to see where this show goes. It's probably not as mainstream material as One Punch Man is, just in terms of its visuals and its story setup. Superhero stuff has always more mass appeal, I guess. But I still would say could turn out to be a great show.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, just if you want to see really cool animation, just for animation's sake, because that might be some of the reasons why you got into anime, right? I would recommend checking out this show because I have seen a lot of that stuff in that show. I haven't seen animated in that way yet, and it just looks fucking cool, fucking cool. All right.
So what's next for you?
Yeah, next for me. Wait, you got nothing more?
I mean, the only thing else is stuff that's continuing from previous seasons.
Oh, okay. I mean, you can talk about that if I want. I got like 1, 2, 3 more shows.
Okay.
And you decide on the fly. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Planetarian. This is a 5-part original net animation, and I still think the term ONA or ONA is not that well thought out when used in reference to anime. But yeah, it's got a cute robot girl. It gets left behind by its creators when war breaks out in the city. And many years later, a soldier runs into her, and they spend time together in the planetarium she is working at. She's basically the hostess of the guide for doing the showings of the stars and everything. So yeah, that's basically the story setup. And it's super cute. It probably has a tear-filled ending in store. It just feels like one of those stories where, she is not long for this world or something, or the soldier dies and she's going to cry over him. I'm pretty sure that's something like that is going to happen.
I believe it's also based on a game or a series of games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I read that somewhere. I'm not sure how far it's how faithful it is to that in terms of its adaptation. But yeah, neat characters and setup, and the robot girl is really sympathetic. So the soldier is a bit gruff at the beginning, but he gets around at the end of this first episode. And yeah, I want to meet those characters again. And it's only 5 episodes, so it's not much of a time. It won't be much of a time investment. So yeah, if you're interested in a maybe depressing later on, but right now kind of engaging character story during a war or something like that. Yeah, sure, check it out. It looks cool. You want to talk about some of the shows you're going to continue watching, or should I wrap up with the last 2 shows I got?
I guess I could throw a couple out there.
Sure.
So since I don't have anything else new, I might as well say that I got 4 other shows that have spilled over into this season. I guess I'll mention 2 now and then 2 after your next one.
Yeah, sure.
So of course, is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable, because why would you not continue to watch that? It's JoJo's.
Still running strong.
I haven't watched the newest episode yet, but it
has a great. Oh wait, no, the actual newest episode. All right, I haven't watched that either.
Yeah, as in the one that aired like 12 hours ago, as of this recording.
But you have seen the new opening.
Yes. I'm not sure if I like it more or less than
I'm not sure about that yet either, but it looks cool.
Yeah. And one of the other shows is we'll talk about Dragon Ball Super and how it's still really kind of rough.
Okay.
They recently started, story stuff that's actually new with Goku Black, who is apparently from, I believe, an arcade game called Dragon Ball Heroes, I believe. Maybe it'll be interesting. Who knows? There's time travel nonsense involved. Beerus and Whis are not too happy with the crew, bending time to their whims. Oops.
Uh-huh.
But that's pretty much that for the time being.
Yeah, I'm still behind on Super, so I think I started watching the tournament arc, but I'm only a few episodes in, so we'll see where that goes and the future arc. But Toei is
kind of dragging their feet.
Yeah, not spending much money on their TV series. One Piece is the same thing, and just in terms of animation, and then you see the new movie that is coming out and looks fucking gorgeous, and you're like, god damn it, guys.
I think they decided to actually put money into Sailor Moon Crystal 3.
Well,
which is why maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. because so many people were enough people were complaining about the first series, I guess. Anyway, yeah. So my next pick, second to last, will be ReLife. Not to be confused with ReZero or Rewrite. There are a lot of re shows in this season and the previous one and everything. So yeah, ReLife is about a 20-year-old guy without a job, gets the offer to take a pill that gives him the appearance of a high schooler again, to, you know, go back to school and find a new perspective. It's like, it's an experiment, a social experiment, or so he is told. And he gets paid for that. He gets like full payment. And since his mother just told him that the parents are going to cut his allowance or whatever that keeps him, you know, afloat, he has to do something. So that seems like a good way. And, you know, sounds easy enough. Like, I get made young again and look like a high schooler and go back to school. I mean, I have the knowledge of an adult, right? What could go wrong? And maybe
except for everything,
maybe I find a new path for a different life or something. Yeah, and of course, already in the first episode, on his first day, he fucks up royally, like makes all the mistakes you could make, and embarrasses himself and stuff like that, and comes across as really weird. It's neat. You got like relatable characters, and it made me laugh several times. Like, I like the humor in that show. The main character is kind of a bumbus. He's very sympathetic, not quite to the levels of, you know, the main character from Welcome to the NHK. He's still got his shit more together, but still, you know, he got neat tendencies and stuff like that. So that's why he's doing what he's doing. And yeah, but it's cool, neat, promising cast of characters. Whole show is available on Netflix right now. You could watch it, like binge it, and which I haven't done yet, but I might, you know, just because all of it is available. But yeah, looks promising, looks cool. Might be interesting if the humor keeps this level of quality and the characters stay interesting. I might stick around. I don't know yet. Premise is interesting enough for now, but we'll see. So, what are the two other shows that spilled over?
The other show, or one of the other two shows, is Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. A little over 100 episodes in. And it seems like they're starting to get to the heart of the matter because...
the heart of cards?
Yes, the heart of the cards. Trust in the heart of the cards. Destiny draw. Bah! But the story is kind of... I'm behind by like 6 or 7 episodes at this point, but where I am is they're kind of closing on the enemy stronghold in the fusion dimension and are going to Academia, and they just started introducing characters from Xechs this time.
Oh, okay. Not my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Season, but all right.
Talking about Xechs briefly, it was a goofy show, but I feel like it had some neat moments, but overall not the best.
Yeah.
But I'm just, interested in seeing how they overthrow the professor at the end of the show, whenever that may be. I don't know if it's gonna be a bit shorter the way Arc 5Ds was, because I remember it was Xechs that was split up into 2 series, and then the longest was the original, as I recall. So maybe this will be a shorter one. Who knows? We'll see if it, breaks 150 episodes. I'm not certain.
But considering that you're still with it after 100 episodes, it seems like you're enjoying that more than Xechs.
I dropped Xechs after the first episode.
So yeah, there you go. All right.
It's like augmented reality dueling. Okay, that's cool, but Yuma's character design was just like, God, stop. Yuya's character design is a lot more appealing, and his end game of I want to find my father is a bit more interesting, I feel like. Okay. The other show is Macross Delta, because I love Macross to death.
Me too.
And, they just changed the intro and ending sequence, so yeah.
Quite past the halfway point at this.
Yeah, there was some pretty sad moments a few episodes ago, and I don't want to go too deep on that, but, it has given our heroes a new motivation and drive.
Yeah. It's still
And
and it's still very cool, and some new story strings opened up, or where it might lead, and you finally understand what the reasoning behind the actions of the antagonists is. That was finally revealed too. If that is all there is to the truth, we'll see. But yeah, so
yeah, and we might. They teased us with a little bit of Hayate's past.
yeah.
And then I was overtaken by Macross this past weekend because I was at a local convention. I ended up buying a model of Hayate's variable fighter. Oops.
Oh, nice. I'm envious. I want a cool Valkyrie fighter too someday.
Someday. But yes, that's everything for me. How about you?
Okay. Last show on the sneak peek list for me, and yeah, those listeners who are still with us, I don't
Thank
know.
you.
First of all, thank you very much.
Thank you. Like, favorite, subscribe.
And second, you almost through. At least for the sneak peek, we still get some 2 short reviews coming up for you after this. But this is the last show on my list for the sneak peek of summer season 2016, and that is Orange. This is about an adult girl who sends her younger self a letter back through time. It's not really explained how that works. It just does. And she's telling her about her future regrets so that her younger self maybe can change some things for the better, especially when it comes to the fate of the boy she fell in love with during high school, which I won't disclose right now because that's kind of a spoiler, even though it happens in the first or second episode. But still, yeah, that's the hook. And again, it's mentioned this for a few other shows this season. It's a very beautiful show. I think it's done by TMS, just like D.Gray-man, and they really put a lot of work into this. Apparently,
TMS has a lot of shows this season.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they also did Sweetness and Lightning.
Yeah, they got their hands on a lot of stuff like Toei, but unlike Toei, I feel like they still have a better grasp on managing their talent and not make like half of their shows look like complete ass. So yeah, Orange looks great, and there's just a great chemistry between the circle of friends who are the main cast of the show, like the group of high school friends who surround this girl. She herself is very shy and can't verbalize certain things well, and but she has like this friend who's very, very loud and very fun and very open, and you get like just a bunch of very characters who are very likable and very relatable, and yeah, all their conversations in that circle of friends feel very natural. So yeah, it's cool. It's a cool show. It's a cool character piece, and of course the sci-fi time travel hook is neat. And I wonder where it goes, and if we learn what exactly happened to all the characters and how, and yeah. So yeah, cool stuff. I recommend if you are into changing the future stuff. Yeah, Orange, cool show for now.
It sounds conceptually similar to ReLife, at least a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, but it's like from a completely different angle, because ReLife is really focused on the humor of the whole premise. It's really, really comedy laden, and
okay.
It's really heavy on the comedy and like the absurdity of the whole situation of the main character being an adult in high school and having no idea what he's doing, even though he should. And then we would probably in the same boat if we did that. And yeah, right, that's what ReLife is right now. And Orange is really like focused on the drama and the character work and the budding romance between the girl and her high school friend, and the luring disaster over their heads and stuff like that, and the tension that is building. So yeah, definitely, just in terms of maybe of setup, bit same-ish, but in terms of tone, completely different. So depending on what you want to go for. Maybe you want to, I want to see a high school show this season that is like super high school, decide on what tone is more interesting to you. If you want a more serious character drama, or if you want the comedy stuff, and then decide either if you want to go with ReLife or Orange. But yeah, I guess that's it for the sneak peek. Whoa, that was a lot of shows.
Oops.
Holy
Oh
shit.
well.
Anyway, yeah, but that was a lot of fun. And now we gonna switch over to our two reviews for this season, which are not gonna be long because one is gonna discuss just the season 2 of a show, and one is gonna discuss a short form anime, and that's coming up next. So look forward to that.
All right, so I kind of enjoy dabbling in short form shows because sometimes, you get goofy ones like TQ, which is just basically as off the rails as it gets. But I don't usually like to highlight or talk about much about them because usually they don't have a whole lot going for them. I don't know if that you should take away if that's a good or a bad thing. The same example with TQ. It's like a string of non sequiturs from beginning to end, and for a series like that, that is what it is founded on. People love it. It ran for I think like 6 or 7 seasons so far, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about a different kind of short form show, one known as Space Patrol Luluco.
Mm-hmm.
Animated by our friends at Studio Trigger. So you already know you're in for a ride.
Oh yeah, definitely. Some wild animation stuff is gonna happen.
Directed and written by Hiroyuki Imaishi.
Which puts an exclamation point on that.
The same guy what done, Kill la Kill, and I believe a little bit of Gurren Lagann.
Mm-hmm.
The story follows Luluco, who's just average, ordinary, everyday middle school student, and she just strives for normalcy until her father is frozen solid. Her father is
Which is not her fault. It's his.
He chomps into an instant freezing pill that was somehow slipped into his food.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Now her father, Keiji, is an inspector for the Space Patrol. If you're up on your Japanese, you'll understand that Keiji also means detective. We're not veiling the jokes here. So Luluco tries to enlist the aid of the Space Patrol crew to be like, my dad's been frozen, help me please. And what she finds is just this raggedy crew of the weirdest characters, like a character named Chief Overjustice, who arrests her on suspicion of just being, a suspicious character, and then immediately unarrests her. It's a thing. It happens. Oops. Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically, in order to enlist their help, is voluntold into helping them out.
That's an interesting word.
They're like, hey, so if you want us to help out your pops,
it's gotta be expensive.
You got to do the work that he's missing out on.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically turn her into a living weapon, and the next day when she goes to school, there's an alien who's taking part in space cheating. Everything is a space crime, by the way.
Of course
because it takes place in space, kind of, sort of. But when she goes to apprehend this villainous villain who's cheating on his test, her suit that is supplied her turns her into a judgment gun.
Yeah, she's old school Megatron, basically, from the One Generation Transformers.
A little bit, yeah. And she's
really she's really taken aback by that and surprised because
I mean, wouldn't you be? Oh, yeah, I got contorted and turned into a pistol.
It looks very painful.
I don't know which would be more painful, that or every time I watch Samus roll up into a ball in Metroid.
Yeah, I wonder.
But yeah, it's a very silly, goofy show that's just, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it's one of those shows where if you're a fan of Trigger, it's the show for you.
Yeah, definitely. You forgot to mention the other patrol guy, the Prince from Outer Space, who is coming in at the end of the second episode, I believe, who becomes a love interest. And
Alpha Omega Nova. Yeah.
Alpha Omega Nova, yes.
I was going to get to that, but you beat me to the punch.
Sorry, but yeah, he's also very important. But yeah, it's like you said, it's a Trigger show.
It is very for the fans.
Very for the fans. Lots of references to other Imaishi and Trigger stuff in there, and Trigger even gets name dropped several times.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things is probably that Inferno Cop turns up and Luluco's like, "Hey, are you related to Chief Overjustice?" Because he looks like the same.
He's like, "No, man, no."
What are you talking about? Yeah, it's great stuff. It's very entertaining. It's very frantic, fast-paced visual gags on a conveyor belt, I would say, just one after another, and very chaotic.
It's a very breakneck speed pacing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and maybe that's not if you like if that's too chaotic for you. If you couldn't handle the more chaotic parts of Kill la Kill or Gurren Lagann, that show maybe isn't for you. But if you love that shit, you will enjoy Luluco very much because it's just that all the time.
The way they kind of break up the little stories, like every few episodes, though, I think is neat. Because at the start of the first episode, it's presented as Season 1, Episode 1. And it's like, oh, they have pretty big plans for this. And then you get to the fourth episode, and it's Season 2, Episode 1. It's like, wait a sec, huh?
Yeah, that's great.
I feel like it's a show that knows very much what it is and what it wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun. If you have, I don't know, maybe a little over an hour, that's about how long it takes to watch.
Yeah, it's short movie length, I would say.
Yeah.
By the time we are done with this review, you could probably already have watched like 4 episodes. So
I don't think quite that many, but okay.
Yeah, but short form. That's the neat part about it. If you want to get through a whole series, that's not much of a time investment, and still in that short time period, this I think Space Patrol Luluco manages to tell a very neat story. Just emotionally engaging. It's fun. It's well paced.
It tells a complete story in, the small space that it has.
If you are a Trigger fanboy or girl and you haven't watched this because it's short form, do yourself the favor and watch it.
Yeah, it's just chaotic. It's fun.
Yeah, enjoyed it a lot. Can't say anything more to that because it's short form. We can't go into more detail or we would spoil certain things, and a lot of that stuff can't be talked about anyway because it's visual gags and stuff like that. So yeah, just if you love your Trigger stuff, if you love your Kill la Kill, your Gurren Lagann, if you love the other Imaishi stuff, check out Luluco because lots of fun, lots of super fun show and entertaining characters and all of that good stuff that Trigger is known for, I guess. Mm-hmm. So, since I already reviewed Season 1 of Ushio&Tora in our 3rd episode, I'm not going to go into the basic details again. So if you want to know the setup of the show, go and check out Episode 3 of Anime Brain Freeze. Before listening to this, also there will be story spoilers for Season 1. You have been warned. So Season 1 ended on an arc that felt a bit fillerish at the time. It was about this group of ruthless scientists who are experimenting on yokai for certain reasons. So for the finale of Season 1, it felt for me a bit more low-key than I would have expected. So it's like, okay, this feels more like, I don't know, maybe a season break, and not really like a season break with a huge cliffhanger, but okay, this is the status quo right now, and this is not really... We probably won't get into the big finale yet, and there has to be some setup before that happens. Boy, was I wrong. Imagine my surprise when Season 2 starts off with not one, but a number of bangs. Hakumen, the big bad, this giant fucking nine-tails fox demon thing that has like this weird bird-shaped head and weird creepy eyes. Oh man, that's just fantastic monster design. One
Man,
of
you
the
say Hakumen and my brain goes first to Blaze Blue.
Yeah, mine at the beginning too, but now it immediately goes to that guy. I use him as my Twitter avatar too. He's so fucking creepy and cool. He goes into full attack mode by making everyone who knows Ushio&Tora, who they know and love, forget about them. So nobody remembers Ushio&Tora. Not the friends, not their acquaintances, not their partners, whatever. Ushio's friends, Mayuko and Asako, get kidnapped by the head of the previously good Yokai Alliance, who plan to fight Hakumen as well, just like Ushio&Tora, to be turned into sacrifices to reforge the main weapon, mystical weapon of the anime, the Demon Spear, and fight Hakumen themselves. So shit hits the fan on a grand scale. Like everything is going to hell, and Ushio has to find a way to like make everyone remember who he is, and to avoid getting his best friend sacrificed and stuff like that. And from there on, all throughout the rest of its 13 episodes, the show just doesn't let up. It's a fucking blast, action fest from beginning to end. There are harsh battles, friends turn to enemies. We learn the origin of Tora and how that connects to Ushio and the Demon Spear. And when we finally get to the character reunion and final battle, the show has been, slowly building up towards since its first season. It's so incredibly emotional, action-packed, epic, and super rewarding. It's fucking great. Oh my god. This was so good. I was really happy with that finale. Just the whole second season is fantastic. What I like most about it is how everything that has been brought up in season 1, every character we meet, every plot setup introduced, every secret hinted at, has a part in this finale. All the characters come back, all the one we've met. Everyone has something to do. Even the scientists I mentioned earlier, which felt to me at the time kind of fillerish. In the first season, they have a purpose in this final battle. And everything that you were still wondering about is revealed. It's just an incredibly satisfying payoff, which you haven't seen much of in shonen anime. Like, wow. The final battle alone is worth watching the show for, in my opinion. When Hakumen finally emerges from the ocean, that's not really a spoiler per se because it's in the season 2 opening, so it's teased there. But when it happens when it happens in the show, it's a sight to behold, and the animation, the atmosphere, the tension and drama, it's so well executed. It's fantastic. Thinking about it, I tried hard. I can't honestly find anything bad with this season.
Well, that's good then.
Yeah, or even the show in general, I guess, in hindsight. Yeah, season 1 dragged a bit in parts, I guess. Some of the more comedy-centric episodes were maybe not as strong as other ones, but they were still good. And some people might not like the nature of the ending we're getting, but it's done so well. I can't think of anything to complain about. It's a fantastic action show. I stop gushing now. Because really, this is the point. It's just a tirade of superlatives. And at this point, what more can I say than? If you love your shonen action shows, if you don't mind some 90s ass designs that are ugly in parts, I mean, Tora is not he's a monster, but he's also not a pretty monster. I mean, these days he would probably look different. I fucking love those fucking old ass designs. They're great because you just don't see him that much anymore these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that it sounds like they kept him faithful rather than being like, oh, he needs to be retooled for the millennials.
Yeah, I think they probably sharpened them up a bit from the manga to the anime. That it animated better and looked more consistent and stuff like that. But yeah, just that style of character design is just something that you don't see that anymore, and I welcome that, and that's why I loved it. But if you're not particularly into that kind of design, if you don't mind it, if you like some crazy ass Japanese monster designs, if you dig lovable and sympathetic characters and great, well choreographed fight scenes, and if you want a story that hits all the right beats and wraps up in a really good way, that ties all the necessary strings together, fucking please, I implore you, watch Ushio&Tora. It's one of the best shonen action shows I've seen while watching anime. It's definitely up there with the original Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball, it's definitely up there with Hunter x Hunter, which is probably, for the most part, my favorite. I would have to think about... No, wait. I think Full Metal Alchemist should be considered a shonen action show as well. So that would probably be my favorite. But yeah, it definitely up there. It's not as deep as Full Metal Alchemist. It's more straight up action. It's got some deeper story parts, but it's not that thought provoking or anything. It's more straight forward. But still, yeah, definitely up there. It's one of the best anime things I've seen in a while. So yeah, just because that plays to my taste. But yeah, can't recommend this show hard enough. I had a blast, and it probably won't take too long for me to rewatch it, probably with a friend of mine. Yeah, I don't know. I know you haven't watched it, and I don't know if you were remotely interested in it.
I mean, I started after you recommended to watch it, Noragami, and I still haven't finished that, so
okay.
It'd probably be a little bit before I'd consider Ushio&Tora.
I recommended it to a friend of ours, and it was really fun to see his progression from, oh, this is interesting setup in season 1, and then when season 2 hits, he's like, what the fuck, I can't deal with this show right now. It was so amazing. It was like, yep, I told you.
I remember seeing his reactions on Facebook being like, what?
Season 2 ups the stakes so much, and I enjoyed it so much. So yeah, fantastic show, fantastic second season, better than season 1 in every regard, and season 1 was already very good. So yeah, if you like your action, go out and watch it. All that's left for me to say is Studio Mappa, well done, well fucking done indeed. And that is a wrap on the 11th episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our show is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to vrt.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and animebrainfreeze.com. Leave us a comment any way you like, or send us an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next show. Adios!
Take it easy, everybody.